Hi, this is Ed, and as you can see, that's the San Diego picture that I took a couple of years ago. Uh, and we're being joined by a couple of people. Excuse me, I'm being interrupted, but the camera is showing you, so look pretty. Hold on. Okay, everybody, come on in to this. Come into the studio. There we go. All right. The note takers are arrived. Lots of note takers. Hello, Ken.
Hello,
You remember Ali?
of
Hi Ken,
course.
how you doing?
Good. How
Yeah.
are you?
Good to see
Okay.
you.
And Ken, I want you to meet my old friend and new friend all in one, Dan Bolger.
Dan?
This is Ken Lloyd.
Hey there, Ken. We met from the previous session with
Oh,
Ed.
good.
Yep.
Yep.
Good to see
Good,
you.
How are you
great.
today?
Good.
Good.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
We are recording, and thank you very much, guys, for being involved. We're going to be joined by at least one female, which will make it a lot prettier. That's for sure. So Ali Shami is going to be featured today, and he's the former senior manager at Boeing, but is current founder and CEO of FTD Global LLC. Now, that has nothing to do with flowers, right?
No, but it sticks in the mind of a lot of people. They say, I forget your name, but no, since you mentioned that it's got nothing to do with flowers, now I remember it. I didn't do this deliberately. It just worked out that way.
That's great. So, hey, Ali, I just love your white teeth. I'm trying to get mine whiter. See that? But that's just great. What do you use? Bleach? I don't
I
know.
have a big sign on my in the bathroom, just brush, brush, brush all the time.
Oh, that's cool. All right. Okay, everybody. Today is what day is today? 23rd, I think.
22nd.
No, 22nd. So, Gemini is my sign, and it started yesterday, so I'm feeling all this energy and happiness. And so, if anybody has any bad news or anything, don't say it. Okay, there's enough out there. We don't need to add to it. So, Ken, what are you going to do today, the rest of the day?
Oh, this is it. Yeah, a couple of quick meetings, and then pretty much open after that. So probably about a couple hours worth of if you will, career type stuff for a few people, and then that's all. I have a few writing things I'm still working on, so I'll get back to that. And actually try to get in a walk today, although it's getting very hot right here. So I don't think that'll happen, at least not outdoors.
Yeah, I happen to be, producing this show today in Phoenix, and we came in yesterday, and we're going to go back to San Diego tomorrow. Quick visit to a couple of investment condos that we've got here, and going to visit Stephen Howard, who's in the neighborhood too. I'm going to have a happy hour tonight with Stephen.
Nice.
Right.
All right. So it was 105 here yesterday when we drove in, and that was just before sunset. So
It's a dry heat, Ed. It's a dry heat. Have your
yeah,
water bottle ready.
yeah, right. I've got them right here. If you could see. I can't see it well. Okay, there it is, and it's full of water, not vodka. So Boeing, Ali, has. So you're the former manager, former senior manager on the commercial side, right?
Yes.
Yeah, which means you sold airplanes, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so Boeing is getting all these new contracts, and so it's like a new world, a new world. It's like a rebirth.
Yeah. This is an exciting time for us on so many levels here in Seattle. Number one is all the work and the effort in the company uh, being, getting better and better and better than before, and also now you got the visit of our president to the Middle East, so that's also gave us a boost. I'm seeing a lot of. I can't go, of course. I don't speak on behalf of Boeing, but staying connected with them and having been a consultant and been asked to work on projects with them. I'm really pleased. There's a lot of efforts and I'm seeing some results. Of course, within 1 year of our CEO taking over, you don't expect quick results, right? It takes time, but I'm confident in the next several years, things will definitely be excellent as it used to be.
So is this new CEO female?
No, Kelly. Kelly is he used to with Rockwell Collins and he's a great leader. What I'm seeing is a lot of good stuff that's coming. Just purchased a house here and as soon as he moved to Seattle, so that sends a very strong message. Unlike no, I'm not gonna jump. Unlike a CEO for was it for Sony? Our guy went to not from the Midwest, went to Japan, and he didn't last that long because the Japanese were going like, "Hey, you want to lead the company, and then you're living in a hotel. That's not a good idea. We want to send the message that you're going to be with us for a long time." So Kelly is just one of the little many things that he's doing that I feel things are turning around for sure.
So let's talk about the cross-cultural issues that you just raised. Dan, that's right up your alley, isn't it?
Well, no, it's especially with regard to the Middle East or the Gulf states, doing business there, one has to be very conscious of the many of the cultural dynamics, religious dimensions, and such. So that is true. So I am quite curious about where things move forward following this the president's visit to the Mideast and potential investment.
Yeah. And did you have experience in the Far East, in Japan?
Only in Southeast Asia, in Indonesia, where I lived for a bit, and know a little bit about Thailand too, but mostly Indonesia. Yeah.
And so this is connected with OSAC or State Department?
Actually, I was working under USAID and State Department grants as an implementing partner, as what they call an international NGO. But it was primarily media focused, working with independent radio and television stations in Indonesia. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting. Thank you for clarifying, particularly so much current news swirling around. And
Sure.
to what extent were you involved in those issues, in those assignments with Voice of America?
Voice of America was where I started my career, actually, back right out of college. I
Oh,
had
interesting.
launched into broadcasting, working for the news division at Voice of America, which VOA broadcasts in 42 different languages, and they have different language newsrooms. I was working in the English language newsroom, which would then get translated into those other languages and disseminated throughout the world.
Very fascinating. Okay, so I just want the audience out there, because our audience is global. Very, very large European audience that we have for our syndicated shows, our streaming shows, and growing in Indo-Pacific, as they call it now, APAC, and particularly Hong Kong and Singapore and Tokyo. A little bit in Taipei and Manila, Vietnam, beginning to take hold in Manila, and also in Australia, New Zealand. But it's difficult because of the time changes for me in California. But we're working it out. The recent broadcast that we did, which I'm calling Hello, this is Ed in California. And so hello APAC, hello Indo-Pacific, hello, hello. And so we set our broadcasts from 5 p.m. California time. So it's morning across that region the next day. And I'm trying now to get established in India much more than before. And that's 12 and a half hour difference from Pacific. And that's even more challenging than Asia Pacific because That means getting up at 4 a.m. or something like that, and then doing a broadcast and trying to sound intelligent at the same time. So it's not quite like chewing gum and walking, but almost. So, Ali, remember one quote. Ali's been on this program. I don't know. I want to say 100 times over the years, but I don't know. It may not be that high. But one thing that you said to me in the context of relationship building across borders and time zones is if you show that you care, people are going to want to do more talking with you.
Yes, yes, absolutely. By the way, I mean, it's been a pleasure. We started, Ed, what was that in the I mean, when conferences in person.
In person,
Done
yeah, in Seattle.
done in
Yeah,
California and
yeah,
Canada, and so yeah, our relationship
right.
has been for a long time. It's been great. And as Dan and mentioned earlier about relationships and with cultures, and it's so important to take that into consideration. And yes, absolutely. We've heard the quote by a lot of people say like people don't care what you know until they know that you care. And so it's that. I would say the harmony or could be fight between the intellectual and the emotional aspect of how when we do business, we want to focus on the intellectual piece, on the numbers versus the emotional, the relationship. So that's why the emotional intelligent people are so good because they can get the best of both. Anything that tips on one side is not good. It doesn't mean like, if you get too emotional, that's not good. Now, it could be in certain cultures, it's okay. When I worked supporting the Italians, and since I was born and raised in Lebanon, interrupting, using hands as we speak. Look, I'm doing it right now. We're comfortable with. We have to show passion when you're talking with somebody, and interrupting is okay. Um, and so that's part of caring. That's showing care that you're involved. But then when at the same time, when I get on an airplane and I leave Milan and I go to Tokyo, I start calming down and say, you know what? If I can tie my hands next to my legs, that would be helpful. So yes, absolutely. That is the caring piece is important because I mean, really, a lot of times we get on discussions and meetings and it's if we try always to impress is not necessarily the right thing. Express and caring is so important, just to let the people feel valued. And so I'm so excited. I always look forward to be on the show with you, Ed, and also get to see folks that I've learned a lot. Ken, I've known him for a while also, and get to meet the new leaders as Dan.
This is just super cool to have you involved.
Thank you.
It's really good. So I want to learn more about what you're doing with FTD. And I know you have a couple of slides to show. So why,
Yes.
why don't you use my screen share and let's begin.
Sure, sure. Before I have only 3 slides. It's not going to be death by slides. We used to say a long time ago, death by view foils. You remember the view foils? I don't know
Yeah.
if you remember it, but oh my goodness, yeah, you always have to have a separate bulb sitting on the side just in case if it burns out, you can go and switch it. And they God came up with an advanced projector where they have 2 bulbs right next to each other. You just switch, and so it's not going to be a death by slide. I have only three slides. As far as FTD Global, the FTD stands for Feel, Think, and Do. And when I started my consulting company, which is Global Consulting Company, I couldn't resist, but also including the human aspect of, because we're humans. That's what we have common across all cultures, right? And what do we do? What are the 3 things? Start thinking, what are the the 3 important activities that we do from the day we open our eyes in the morning until we go to sleep, from the day we're born until we transition to another world. We go through these 3 activities, and not necessarily in that order. We feel, it's the feelings, it's the thinking, and the doing, the actions. So it's feel, think, do. And when we wake up in the morning, I wake up in the morning, I don't remember if I don't know if I'm sleeping on my stomach, on my back, on my side. I started feeling my, oh, okay, I'm on my right side. I need to go to the left side. I feel, I think, I do, I move. And from that time on, we go through these three things. And that's why it's so important, the focus, to keep in mind that it's what do you do with the feeling? Did you channel it in the right direction? What makes me think? And what are the action that I do? And those two become very, so interrelated. What I do, I think of something, oh, I didn't do it right. This is how I feel bad. Oh, I feel bad. What do I need to do? I need to do it differently. And you bounce through these things. So the company is global consulting, mainly focused on helping clients on doing business across cultures. As you know, a lot of companies, they join two different, companies from different cultures. The CEOs meet and they talk for days, and they're like, we see eye to eye. We have so much in common, but I think we should just go ahead and have that joint venture or partnering together. But then later on, you'll have the mid-level management and the working team. That's not the case. Those two CEOs, the American CEO and the South African CEO, maybe the South African CEO went to school in Boston, so just happened to be from the same area. So they have so much in common that they feel, okay, we don't have any problems. The problem or the opportunity starts when they go down the level of the mid-level and the lower level. So my support or the help that I provide my customers is solve the problem of having those friction and the mid-level and the working level by providing cultural awareness, helping them out here. This is try to understand each other. And again, to wrap it up, just the sharing part. What I loved, as soon as you mentioned about the topic, you said effective meeting. I said, yes, this is what I'd like. Now, I can spend hours, and I know every one of us could spend hours talking about meetings and effective meetings and what's the best way to have a productive meeting. But I summarized it into two slides, that it's effective meetings in the US, in the Western world, and then the third slide is across cultures. What are the things that needs to be a little bit different across cultures? So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share. Let me know if you see it clearly.
Yeah, we see it clearly. It's just a
Okay.
little hard to read the words. Oh, okay. Now it's
Okay,
much
is
better.
that better? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So I started thinking, what are the most effective meetings that I have been in? What are the worst meetings? And it turned out to be really, it's that trying to figure out what we're gonna talk about. And that's the worst thing. You start a meeting and say, what do you guys want to talk about? Well, it is a meeting. You have 10, 15, 20 people that get paid a lot of money, and you're sitting down and trying to figure out what are we going to talk about. It's not a dinner, it's not lunch, right? So there's no purpose. The purpose is not clear. The specific deliverables that at the end of this meetings, those are the specific things that we need to do. We need to achieve. On top of that, sometimes we have meetings let's have a meeting to talk about the meeting. It's like, really? Are you serious? And Peter Drucker said, there's nothing worse than doing something right that should not have been done to start with. A meeting is not necessarily, if necessary, if it can be done by email, by a phone call, over lunch, then be it. It has to be very, very crisp, with the purpose, deliverables, clear deliverables, and at the end, have some time where we'll be wrap up, summarize what the discussion about, come up with the action items. These are the specific things that need to be done. Who's gonna do it by when? And oh, by the way, in 2 weeks we're gonna meet again to go over the action items and see how we did. So giving that message that we're having this meeting, it's not the end. There's gonna be a follow-up. In my experience, and I'm sure you agree too, a lot of times people go attend a meeting, as long as they don't have an action, they'll be like, okay, I just walk away. It was fun. I listened to everybody. That was good. But when you tell them, hey, so you have that action and we're looking forward to see what you're going to share with us and the results, then they'll be more prepared, which is the preparation for a meeting, during the meeting, and after the meeting. Those are three phases, steps that are so important. Like I said, I can talk forever about all the details prepping for a meeting.
Ali,
Yes.
is there, at that level that you're referring to,
Mhm.
is it important to, as a leader, bring together people just like what I've been trying to do here with the Zoom calls, the people who don't necessarily know each other well in person, but have met on the Zoom, uh, and they may be from across silos and from even across industries or across time and space, of course. But
Yes.
in-person meetings are way different than this. This is a global meeting room in the
Yes.
best sense of the word. But when you bring people together into a room like your cartoon shows, and there's no agenda, the people are just going through the motions then, just going to show up. Is it in the leader's interest that relationships are built based upon coming together in one of these no agenda meetings?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You brought up a really good point. And again, it's what is the purpose? So the purpose, it could be everybody knows each other. We know exactly what the problem that we have, we need to solve. Then everybody knows each other. That's it. If that's the purpose, great. It could be we just want to have a meeting so everybody could get to know each other. We're talking over the phones. Now you're sitting at the same table face to face. Oh, and by the way, when we're done, we're gonna go and have lunch. If that's the purpose, then that's okay. It doesn't have to be there. It doesn't have to be action items. It could be let's get together and share some of the great things that each one of these people did. So again, it's the purpose. If the purpose is to have a productive meeting in the sense of coming up with action items and solve the problems and have specific deliverables, that's okay. But if the deliverable, like you said, is to build relationships, get people to know each other, that is very, very powerful also. So it all depends on what you want to do. So absolutely, not every meeting has to be too detailed, technical. That's it. It could be just to break the ice and get people to know each other. Especially, it's a time for recognition. Maybe that people love to be in a meeting and recognized for the work that they're doing and get to know each other. Thanks for bringing that up. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
The other thing is, and you mentioned about, sometimes you invite a lot of people, they will start a meeting and let's say, the more people I invite, the better. Well, we know it's not the quantity, it's the quality. Who are the people that have interest or that meeting or decisions that are made that will impact them? That's one. Who are the people that will contribute to the discussion? So the quality, who to invite, is so important. And I'm not saying that the quantity is just, if you have the quantity with the right people, that's fine. Although we know from team building, usually creating a team, they according to research, 5 to 7 people is the ideal number. Any number more than that, it becomes very destructive in a way that everybody has an opinion and you cannot get anything done because of the agenda. So absolutely invite only those people who want to be there, who have an interest, who can contribute, who can be not necessarily, you can be in the back maybe and saying, you know what, here's my experience, and can contribute to the meeting. And otherwise, if you have so many people, it becomes uncontrollable. You'll have somebody who wants to show how good they are, and then you look at the time, and the time is passing by, and I haven't done any, we haven't even started the agenda yet. People, they have agendas. So really, as somebody who's calling for the meeting, you gotta study and figure out, okay, who are the people that I need to invite?
So let me ask you a question,
Uh-huh.
if I may jump in,
Uh-huh.
about leadership of such a group. And I assume you're talking about in-person meetings,
Yes.
not remote. Okay. So because there's a different rule book on Zoom calls. So what's the rule book? Can the leader, in your view, set the rules, behavior, expectations, and follow-up?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I'm not necessarily coming from it as an authoritative approach by saying this is I'm the boss and this is what need to be done, but just talk about from the very beginning. Here's the meeting. This is the agenda. Here are the deliverables. I am going to be facilitating this discussion. And when it comes also to decision making, is are we gonna make a decision on consensus? Are we going to vote? How are we going to close discussions? And from the very beginning, the leader, what I used to do at the beginning of the meeting, I'll go through all these details. At the end, we're gonna take action items. We're gonna assign those action items to people. And right now, I'll say, I apologize. At times, I'm going to end the discussion to say, hey, this is a great discussion. I think we've talked about that particular topic so well, but it's so important. I tell you what, why don't we have a side meeting and then talk about it on the side? And this way, it doesn't shut down the person who's waiting for the right time to say, me, this is what I think. So you'll say, hey, this is important. Everybody's heard. And now we're going to have a side meeting and we have a parking lot items on the board and write it down. So people feel it's not their voice, they have a voice. So no, absolutely it has, because if you don't have, it's like an orchestra, you have to have a maestro. Now, the key is the leader who can come across being assertive, not aggressive, and not passive, so it has to be. So absolutely, that's really important. And because you're going to have some people who are going to hijack the meeting. So you got to be tough, you got to be assertive, and at the same time, don't shoot people down in a way, unless the person is very aggressive. Then you're going to call security and say, hey, I can't do this. I can't deal with this guy.
Let's go to Ken. Ken, are you going to hijack this?
I'm not going to hijack this. No, there's no security around, so I probably won't do it. Yeah, no, this is the way to go. And, meetings, if you will, I don't like the word specifically, but meetings should have some ground rules. In other words, and those are established as Ali was saying, the leader who's, if you will, leading the meeting. For example, put your cell phones away. We're really going to focus on the meeting. Secondly, we're going to treat each other respectfully. And I know in some cultures, as Ali mentioned, there is interrupting, but if you prefer a meeting where let's be respectful and listen to what others have to say, it's easy to cut someone off before they really get to the main point that would be really important. And if people feel, why should I even talk? I'm just going to get cut off. That's shutting down the effectiveness of the meeting, as well as the creative process. And going back even a couple of steps further, so we'll have basic ground rules of what it is, and we are going to start at X o'clock, and we're going to end at a specific time. People do not want to sit in a meeting, hey, we're going to have an hour meeting, and now it's dragging on, and people are talking, and it's off topic, we're all over the map. Leaders really do need to lead. And also, as Ali mentioned, if we need to go offline with something, have a separate meeting, yes, let's do that. But certainly going back to the most basic foundation, do we need to meet about this in the first place? Do we need to meet in person? And who really should be there? If we have people who just don't need to be there, or they don't know why they should be there, they're going to tune out. And they may even become hijackers. It's enough. I'm sitting here, I can't stand it anymore. So we really want to have that well-tuned vision of why we're having the meeting. What are the takeaways? What would we like to see as a follow-up? And who absolutely needs to be there? We've all been at meetings where I don't need to be here. So what are we doing? We're turning out, other people are picking up on the cues that we're giving off. So all of that goes behind all the scenes. So an effective meeting doesn't just happen. It takes planning, organizing, thinking up front. And yeah, we want to have an agenda, but if something really important comes up, we either want to be able to discuss it at the time or be prepared to meet again. And let's get at that topic that no one anticipated until we got into the room. And we're glad we got there. This is an important point. None of us really could foresee that this was going to come out, but we're ready for it. If we can do it in this meeting, fine. If it calls for a separate meeting, that's fine too. But respect running across throughout the meeting is just an important variable to make sure we've included.
I love what you said, Ken. You reminded me of when to pick the right people, to invite the right people. I had a client where they were doing it like they travel to Japan twice a year, and come to find out that they keep on doing it and they continue to do it just to have those meetings. And come to find out that my client thinking, I need to continue doing this because the customers want us to meet twice a year. And the customer is going, well, it's gotta be very important. If this company that we work for want to meet us for twice a year, so then we need to do that. Come to find out that they both prefer not to do it. So it's you're absolutely right. Yeah.
So let me bring in something from left field here, okay? Let's use baseball. This, so is everybody okay with that analogy of baseball? So Putin didn't show up in wherever that meeting was going to be. And
Istanbul.
Trump didn't show up. Uh, so, and Zelensky was in a hotel room somewhere and afraid to go. So can you relate to setting up a meeting that's not going to happen, but you send somebody to be a presence? Can something positive happen from that kind of a thing, Dan?
Well, can something positive? I mean, I think it will give you a precedent to note, to think on, and take as you prepare for any potential meetings down the road. I mean, that particular instance that you've just described regarding Putin, Trump, Zelensky, and the whole negotiations process, that was particularly delicate and challenging to navigate. And I think part and parcel the reason why it was complex was because the Europeans and Zelensky had met beforehand and along with Trump in a meeting, and they thought that they were all on the same page, and as it turns out, they were not, and that Trump was a bit of an X factor in this. Putin is always an X factor in this. So I think Zelensky probably played that as best he could, given the circumstances. But I think it does go to what our colleagues had alluded to earlier, is that setting an agenda in advance, it really needs to be fleshed out with the principals first by sidebar conversations before the meeting to understand who what are we meeting for, who are the folks who need to be in that conference room with you, and what are the really salient topics that we're going to tackle, because I mean, I've been in meetings, and especially with multicultural folks where English is not their native language. This kind of preparation and sort of vetting of the topics to be discussed and the points to be raised is really important. And there's nothing worse and uncomfortable than actually being in a conference room meeting when you have the leader who may start in on the agenda, and some of the other principals in the room were prepared for something else, or had done a lot of legwork on topics or issues that didn't seem to align with what was ultimately going to be tackled on the agenda. And so, having a preparation in advance, sending an email or a detailed agenda in advance, sort of mapping out the direction of where the conversation is going to go and discussion, is really essential in multicultural contexts, right? But again, it's and I think, as Ali had referenced earlier, that if a topic during that conference or that meeting is raised, and it is important, but you just really don't have time to tackle it, saying, hey, I'd really love to take this offline and let's have let's have a sidebar discussion to flesh out some of the details on it, and then we can make sure that we make it a priority for our next meeting, just in terms of being respectful, trying not to sort of run into elements of shame that might make one of your colleagues uncomfortable. These are something to be cognizant of as a leader.
Thank you, Dan. Ken?
Yeah, I think talking about what leaders want to be cognizant of, I'm going to go back to FTD. I think if you're leading a meeting, what are you feeling when you're in there? And what do you think from the emotional intelligence side others are feeling during the meeting? looking at them. What is their body language telling you? What is their tone telling you? What is that gut feeling that you have in your stomach about what's happening in that meeting? So feeling, very important. And then what are you thinking? Is this going the way that you want? Is it opening up new vistas? Are the people in the meeting even thinking? Are they actually engaged in this? Or are they just going through the motions? So keeping that in mind, and then just looking at the behavior of it, the actual doing. What are they saying? How are they responding? Are people taking notes? Are they actually pulling stuff up on their computer and drawing in other key points? What's going on from the thinking standpoint, just as a way to track how is this meeting going? I think it's a great shorthand to have in mind as you are in a meeting, and really whether you're leading it or not. I'm a participant in this meeting. What am I feeling? Oh gosh, I wish I didn't have to be here. What time is it going to end? I'm thinking about what I'm doing after this meeting, and I'm not doing anything. All to keep that in mind as a participant, as well as a leader. Ali, I think it's a great shorthand and a roadmap for people to keep in mind as they go into and lead or participate in these meetings.
Yeah. Yeah, I love what you said, and also Dan, what you said. It really brought up a lot of um, good, good points to make meetings effective. And I don't know if we lost Ed. Ed, are you still with us? Maybe.
Has
Okay.
that
maybe-
happened before? This is where has
You're
our
having a
MC gone?
meeting, and what do you do when you're having a meeting and the person who called it disappears?
Exactly, exactly. So maybe he's doing it on purpose to see how we're going to react.
Exactly. I was in Indonesia
Uh-huh.
on a canoeing trip.
Yeah.
In the wilds of Java, and six of us were, we were rowing dutifully, and we had our leader who was up front, and then all of a sudden the leader jumped out and jumped into the water and disappeared.
Oh my goodness.
He was our tour guide, and he
Oh
disappeared.
my goodness.
He could hold his breath for very long, so he was like under the water for like a minute, and then he popped up again. Let's see if Ed pops up again.
Wow, wow. Yeah.
Well, you want to go to your next slide, Ali?
Yeah, we can do that. I just wanted to mention also about what you both what you talked about. It made me think about a lot of times, you how do you measure success in a meeting? So that's really important, right? And definitely getting the deliverables, getting things done, taken care of. But I always feel if you want to measure a success of a meeting, there has to be two dimensions or two criteria. Or number one is did we achieve what we want to achieve? That's the intellectual aspect. And the second one, that is the emotional. If I next time I send another meeting and I say I'm the facilitator, I'm leading this meeting, how many people will accept my meeting? That's another measure, right? Because if people like, that's a waste of time. Same thing as being like in a project management. Yeah, we want to do something on time, within budget, right quality. But a lot of people, they forget that project leadership is, if you say, I have another project, who wants to play with me? Who wants to work with me? And how many people raise their hand, say, me, that's another. So it's good to have you back, Ed. The second slide that I have is really, I'm going to use both at the same time. Thank God for AI. So I asked AI to draw for me a meeting where above it, there are spears, water, and maybe at one point there's going to be those meetings that are very long and there's no end, that there will be sensors in a conference room where as soon as the time goes beyond 1 hour, this will be activated, the spear will be coming down, and water will be all over the place. So on one hand, there could be like an endless meeting. We're going around, we're circling around the airport, we're not landing the airplane, we're just burning fuel. Versus on the right side, it could be meetings that are by two trains that are going in two different directions. Something that is really important, very, very important, that we need to dedicate at least 30 minutes to an hour, and then it's done in 10 minutes. Like Dan's mentioned, see how they feel, that is going to be like, I feel like I'm my voice, my opinion, I didn't feel comfortable in stopping the meeting. I don't think I was heard, blah, 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 all of that. So very short meetings with no time to reach agreement. And maybe, you know what, okay, then we ran out of time, let's just connect again. And or it could be very long meeting and it could be boring. With that, I want to share something that I did, that I experienced when I was I was a field service representative in Luton. That's about north of London, 30 minutes north of London. And I went to EasyJet. I was supporting EasyJet airline, and they said that we're going to have a meeting. My first meeting with the airline. Let's go to EasyJet headquarters. So I went to the headquarters. Went into the building, and there is. I asked about the conference room. She said the person behind the counter said it's right there. I went to the meeting, I went to that area, and there were only like 8 tables, round tables, this high. It goes up all the way high to the chest level, no chairs. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So I was there like 10 minutes early. I got in there and then started the chief engineer came and everybody started. We talked and it's like, whoa, what a beautiful way. That's what I call stand-up meeting. In my mind, I'm thinking stand-up meeting is I sit down and donuts will come, drinks will come, coffee will, you know. So the length of the meeting is how strong your quads are for stand and not get tired and sit down. So those two are the other second slide. The third one is just with the book that Stephen and I wrote together about partnering successfully with American firms that was published last summer. Having worked in providing cultural awareness for years, I found out there's and rightfully so in the United States, we give workshops on helping Americans how to do business overseas, right? It's always been the case. And I did not see activities or books. Maybe there are articles there I saw, but nothing really that helps the other way around. How to be a great customer, how to partner with Americans. Right now, we have trillions and trillions of dollars that are coming our way. What is it? Would it be helpful for somebody like myself and somebody like Stephen or any of us who understand the US culture? What is the best way to really um, uh, um, turn the relationship into a loyal relationship with trust with Americans? What's important to Americans? Forget about what Hollywood does. I mean, a lot of people, they think like, what, you want me? I know Americans. This is what they think. This is how they do things. No, no, no. Especially right now, it's becoming more diverse that you have so many people, they are Americans, but you still have that cultural um, um, norms that they grew up in when they were little in Asia or in Africa or in Europe. So when it comes to meetings, I mean, you know, treating people the way they want to be treated is so important. A lot of times we feel like treat people the way you want to be treated, which is fine. You know, I don't want to be slapped on the face. Nobody wants to be slapped and be hurt. You know, that applies. But if you can learn about a little bit more about how do meetings, how effective meetings, how our decisions are made. Oh, in Japan, it's not in the meeting that decisions are made. They're done during karaoke or during dinners. Oh, okay. You go to the Arab world. It's not at the meeting. It's before the meeting while you're drinking coffee. You're asking about the family, and then after the meeting and so how patient are you in meetings? If you look at we love flow charts. So you look at the flow chart in the Western world. For other culture, it could be like a spaghetti, is all over the place. Agenda, we created the agenda. Why should we have the agenda rule us? Oh, contract, we wrote the contract together. Which is more important? Relationship. So in the book, there's one aspect, one part of the book that I've written about the in-person meeting and the virtual meetings and how to take into, in the end, as Dan, Ken, and you had also mentioned that it's really the relationship. It's what do you want to get out of that meeting? Does it have to be a meeting? Does it have to be very structured? Or like you said, Ed, just to get people together? So with that, I'm gonna end my discussion with a something that I witnessed when I was in Europe. I was a rep, and I leave my office and I go to the car. Every Friday, I pass by the headquarters of the airline, and I'll see people barbecuing. That's like 2 o'clock, and 2 o'clock is too early to just break and have beer and hot dogs and hamburgers and I'm like, oh man, and a lot of people there. And I'm like, well, this is fun. Oh, must be something. Well, the next Friday, the same thing. The next Friday, the same thing. I'm like, what's going on? Just happened. I was invited to go on a boat on a celebration on the Thames River, and I saw the president of the company of the airline, EasyJet. So I went. I said, Stelios, what is going on? What are you doing here? He said, I know. A lot of people, they ask me. And he said, Ali, you know how many problems we solved in having those social discussions and people, they meet. We don't have agenda, we don't have anything, just people go chat, talking about what they want to do over the weekend. We have solved so many problems. People who can't stand each other, all of a sudden they're talking with each other. It's kind of like, why wait until December? We all know, like in the middle of December until Christmas, until New Year's, everybody likes everybody. Have you noticed that at work? You know, everybody, like you can get so much done in December, in the last half of December, than any time in the year, because people are happy. There's hope. So why have it only once a year? Why have a little bit more of getting people together, recognition, a word, thanking people for doing what they're doing. And so the culture is there's a lot of similarities, and people treat people the way you like to be treated, because we have that in common. But at the same time, what's important is how they like to be treated. And I know we can discuss this for a long time, and I've learned a lot. You brought up really great points on meetings, that is to make it more effective, not efficient. A lot of times we confuse efficiency with effectiveness. And being effective at the end of the meeting, do I really want to listen to this person talking? Do I really want to go to that meeting? Do I want to invest the most important something that I have, which is time? That's the most important thing, right? So yeah, no, I want to, like I said, as soon as you mentioned, I was like, yeah, I would like to talk about that, because it brought up a lot of good, memories and learning lessons too at the same time.
I thank you very much for doing this. I'd like to set up another meeting in June, perhaps the second week of June, and we could decide what we're going to be talking about when we get there. But maybe we could send each other memos and have a theme going in. The idea is to strengthen international business relationships. Ali, you wrote a book. You lived it. Dan, you've been involved in politics and how to do this cross-culturally, and that could be a topic in itself. So I welcome you to come back. Ken, please come back. Thank you. I've got to deal with Zoom. They need me to make some changes. That's why I disappeared for a minute. So I'm glad you guys stayed around. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dan. It was a pleasure meeting you. Hope to see you in the future. And Ken, it's always great to see you.
Right back at you, Dan. The same, and Ed. Thank you very, very much. Always interesting.
Thanks,
All right.
Ali.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Sure, be
Okay.
well,
Your break.
guys.
All right, I'll send you all a copy of the show here.
Perfect.
Thanks, Ed.